We are located in the greater Boston, Massachusetts area, area called Mattapan, but we serve the greater Boston area. We've been part of the NID counseling agency for more than 20 years.
Okay.
That's an interesting question. I've been part of the real estate industry for many years, and there have been some clients over time that we've seen disadvantaged because of the absence of knowledge. And we wanted to be sure that we contributed to the solution as a group, and NID provided that opportunity to allow us to clearly help others who were short on information or resources to be able to help them into homeownership through the NID counseling program by enabling them with the knowledge they needed and access to the resources that would help them to be successful in that process. In my opinion, essential to stable communities, to stable families, and it removes the element of distress that can be created by landlords and their dictates over those that they have as tenants. You know, when you think of the comfort level that comes with owning your home, the pride that comes with owning your own home, the freedom of choice, the freedom of movement in terms of, you know, what color do you want, and in some cases maybe, you know, homeownership associations can dictate, but for the most part, you're free as an individual to do what you want with your own home. And it gives you a certain sense of pride to be able to make those moves, and for you and your family. It has significant economic value. It's a source of building wealth, short-term and long-term. So there are many benefits to home ownership that individuals can experience and benefit from if they make that move. And we know how significant it is, so we encourage people to make that move and become homeowners as the opportunity arises. Minorities have been at the low end of ownership for many decades. I have been in it for a long time, and there's been a struggle to have parity in the area of home ownership between people of color and other ethnic groups. The opportunity to inform others about the process and help them to work through the areas of savings, which they generally have very little of, to improve credit, which is sometimes a hurdle for many. They have jobs, but those two pieces, the credit and the savings, challenge or people of color in many ways. And therefore, to have the opportunity to work with them one-on-one as the need arises, or as they identify themselves as needing assistance, we take those individuals in under or guidance as far as education is concerned about the housing process, with the tools that NID offers and the programming that it offers, and be able to help those individuals through the process so they can move from introduction to homeownership to actual becoming homeowners and having the the experience that comes when a person becomes a homeowner. I think that's one of the greatest feelings that people have expressed to me after giving them keys at a closing and walking through the house with them. They just the magnitude of that emotion sometimes can be overwhelming, because it's something that a lot of times they never thought would happen or would happen, and then to have the experience of it happening and be able to be the first in the family. It's almost like the first in the family to go to college, first in the family to own a home. And it's something that they can now then share with other family members in a way that empowers other family members to be able to do the same. Because if one can do it, many can do it. The homeownership is a process. And sometimes people aren't quite ready, they're not quite there yet. As you have discussions with them about how much money they have in the bank account, Some of them don't even have bank accounts or savings accounts, I should say. They have checking account that they can use for expenses and cash in its checks, etc. So whatever the needs are, once we have the intake interview with the client, we then develop a plan for the client. And if they have an interest in homeownership but it's not ready, we sort of set a plan that will walk them through the things that will get them ready. Getting the credit straight, taking time to save money, taking time to understand how to identify the family needs as far as housing, the cost of housing for utilities. Some people think, well, I want a big house, but they don't realize the cost of maintaining a big house. So ideally, we would look at the person's individual situation and help them through analyzing their own income and savings and other assets, how to be able to develop themselves into a homeownership candidate by working with them over time. Now, there's a thought in the broader world of tenancies, homeownerships, rental, that some people of color are just suited for renting. And I think that was a bit of propaganda that went out a few years back. And I think people have been really misinformed, misguided, because anybody who wants to own a home can own a home if they prepare themselves with a job that meets or a source of income that meets the threshold of housing they would like to acquire, by addressing the deficiencies in their credit, by saving some money over time, either individually or with other family members, to make it a family acquisition project. Because sometimes, as one person does not make enough money, but if they team up, collaborate together, they can accomplish the homeownership dream. So there are many things that we can do with individuals. Now, there's an understanding that there could be a conflict of interest, and that conflict of interest is avoided with great care, because we don't want somebody to be misled or taken advantage of. So, the counseling process is a standalone process, and if you serve somebody with housing counseling needs to help them to prepare for home, you cannot be the person that's providing them real estate services. So the real estate services, they would have to select from other opportunities, other providers in the communities they're looking to acquire property in, or others that they choose from whatever source they choose them from. Generally speaking, a counseling agency at ours, we can provide a list, and we have to provide a minimum of 3 vendors for any service, whether it's home inspection, legal services, anything that they contractors, anything that we give them. We can't pipeline them to somebody. We have to give them a list that they can choose from to get services. And I think that's one good thing that we do as counselors that saves the potential homeowner or home buyer from getting drawn into situations that they don't have options about. So we always want to give them options and choices. So there's an interesting thought as it relates to direct connections. You get individuals who want to touch the person that they're providing or receiving information from as it relates to homeownership. And a lot of times, although there's credibility, the issue of trust comes into play. Who am I talking with? Do they know the community? Do they know me? Do they know my needs? Am I just a paper application, or does somebody really care about what happens to me in my homeownership process, my family? And I think a lot of times, if you're able to sit with somebody and they can see and feel the emotion that goes into helping them to be able to make decisions about their housing needs and helping them through the steps that they need to get through in order to acquire a home. It's a very different story than a telephone call or a Zoom call. And I find a lot of people, if they have the option, I will say to others and my colleagues in counseling will say, well, you have the option of a Zoom call or an in-person meeting. Which would you prefer? And invariably, they say an in-person meeting. We'll get one or two, maybe 2 in 10 that will say, well, I'll do a Zoom call because I'll be at work or something like that. But for the most part, they want to come and sit down and experience that bonding that allows them to trust you with their information and see that you're a real person in a real place. It's not a scam. They don't have that concern. And a lot of times you're asking people for Social Security information and so forth, and they're very reluctant to do that unless they're sitting in front of you. So that's one of the things I think comes good out of the in-person meetings. Of course, we have the Zoom and other options in the event that the person is not available. So we still want to be a convenient resource to them as part of that process. That's a very good question, and the way I would respond to that is, if you get into someone's personal life and you help them to make the biggest decision of their lives as it relates to purchasing a home. I have clients now for more than 20 years, some of whom will not make a move with any type of monetary spending unless they call and say, Richard, I'm thinking about doing this. What are your thoughts? Or how do you feel? How would you guide me? What should I do? And although it's sometimes, you want individuals to make decisions that they're responsible for so that you don't become responsible for the decision. And I certainly try not to do that. But to share facts about a particular situation with an individual and ask them what do they think about the decision they're about making can lead them to a decision without me contributing to guiding them there, except for the questions that I ask. And although it's gratifying, sometimes I'm thinking, Richie, that is just too much authority to have over one's life. But it's difficult to relinquish, not because I don't want to relinquish it, but because people seem to trust what I say more than anything else. And they sort of believe that, I have all these answers. And really, I have the answers from research that I then give to them to make decisions on. But they become very attached in many ways. And like I said, I have multiple clients that I've served since I don't want to age myself, but I've served 20 years. It has gone through 3 generations, of family members now in terms of the service advice that we provide around housing and housing counseling and homeownership needs. So it's been a very gratifying and rewarding experience, either to be a counselor or to be a service provider in the real estate with those whom I do not counsel but come to the organization from other resources as a result of having had home buyer counseling and are now looking for the purchase of the home. And we take particular patients with them to make sure that as they walk through the process, it's a pleasant experience. We try to eliminate the bumps along the road, although we caution them that there will be a few. And I have the distinct opportunity because I work in 2 markets, and I work in the Las Vegas area as well as the Boston area. And we've been able to, based on calls we receive, help people in the Las Vegas area And more specifically, the focus that we have in Boston, we have regular workshops now on an ongoing basis that provide answers to homeowners. We look at do research to find out what their questions and concerns are, and then we try to custom the counseling programs we do to help them. And one of the big things that I'd like to encourage homeowners to do is not only have one home, but try through the process to have a second one, so you can keep your housing costs fixed on one, and you can use the other one for educational programming for your children, for your all the other things you want to do without affecting your home, your residence budget, because it's a more stable situation to keep your housing costs level than it is to look to a point when you have to increase that housing cost through loans or other things to provide assistance to family members. So buy one. First one will help you to keep for you and your immediate family, and then we'll help you to buy a second one that you can use for your wealth development process. Juneteenth is a recognition of some of the challenges that people of color have dealt with over the years in terms of, and I want to say the word deprivation, because we were in a position as people to provide a lot of labor to help create the wealth that currently flourishes in this country. And to be able to now have an opportunity to teach or guide others or share information with others that can get them into that loop, the loop of wealth creation, home ownership, as part of that process, is one that I really have a great deal of respect for the opportunity, a love for the opportunity, and then also, I say we work around the clock as necessary to help those that need the help to get to where they need to be. And it's a holiday, a very special holiday for people of color, but it's also an opportunity to recognize that the opportunity we had is not lost, it's just ahead. So when I compare the work that NID does as an organization across the country, and I look at other organizations, NID is by far one of the best resources for people of color to become involved in the homeownership process. So there's the people that provide organizations that provide information and resources, but the passion with which NID does it, and it's the counselors that do it in NID, I think is outstanding, and it just makes NID or Housing Counseling is a very unique agency for people to work with. Black, brown, anybody that wants to get into housing can do so with the assistance that NID provides.